Good evening, friends. Myself, Dr. Nidhi Darbari, on My Education Treasure. Today, in my present video, I am going to discuss about the classification of questions according to the stages of lesson in probing questioning skill of micro teaching. Classification of questions according to the stages of lesson. Questions are used from the beginning of the lesson till it is over. Teachers should know that which type of questions are to be asked at various stages. First one is introductory questions. The introductory questions are asked at the introduction stage, that is before the starting the main lesson, so that the students may be motivated for new knowledge after testing the previous knowledge of the students. The introductory questions are smaller and 3 or 4 in number. The last question is such that it links the previous knowledge of the students with the new knowledge. Hence, an efficient teacher should move to the main lesson after asking such questions within 2 or 3 minutes. They should be interesting and should arouse curiosity, but they must be simple. Developing questions. The developing questions are used at the developing stage of the lesson. By such questions, with the help of the students, new knowledge is developed in a logical sequence. Such questions provide an opportunity to the students for using their own intelligence, logic, and decision by stimulating their mental processes. Also, the teacher tries to make clear the subject matter to the students by shifting the student from one factual point to another factual point with the help of such students. By developing questions, students are provided with more opportunities of acquiring knowledge. The next type of question is the thought-provoking questions. Thought-provoking questions help in the development of imaginative power, logic, and decision-making of the students. During teaching, some students sometimes look physically present in the classroom, but mentally they are somewhere else. In such a situation, the teacher should go on asking thoughtful questions like why and how from the whole class. This keeps them focused on the main lesson and avoids distraction. Since in answering thoughtful questions, students need their own intelligence, reasoning, and decision-making power, therefore, while asking questions, the teacher should take care of the age, experience, previous knowledge, and levels of the students. Problem questions. Questions by which a problem is presented before the students, either in the beginning or in the end or at both the stages of the lesson, and the student assimilate new knowledge while solving those problems, are termed as problem questions. When such questions are used in the beginning of the lesson, some problem is presented before the students and they become naturally active for solving them. Contrary to this, when these questions are asked in the end of the lesson, then its aim would be to know the ability of the student for applying the acquired knowledge. Problem questions are generally used in the lesson of history, maths, and science. The next type of questions are comparison questions. Comparison questions are those in which facts and events are compared. Such questions are generally used in the lesson of history, geography, and science. Comparison questions can be used at both the stages of lesson, that is either in the beginning or in the end, but normally it is appropriate to use in the middle of the lesson. Comprehensive questions. Questions by which the teacher comes to know whether the students have acquired the knowledge of the subject matter or not are called comprehensive questions. It is observed that all the students listen to the teacher, but when the questions are asked regarding the taught subject matter, they sit silently without giving any answer. It means that in all types of lesson, the teacher must ask comprehensive questions. Comprehensive questions are often asked in the end of the lesson, but if the teacher wants to teach the lesson by dividing it in different units, then he should use comprehensive questions at the end of each unit. Recapitulation questions. Questions by which the main factual points of the lesson are revised are called recapitulation questions. The aim of these questions is to substantiate the knowledge by organizing it properly. These questions should be based on the taught knowledge. Such questions should be asked at the end of the lesson very quickly in a sequence, only then they prove useful. Classification of questions according to Blosser. Blosser categorized questions into 4 types: managerial, rhetorical, closed, and open. Managerial questions. These are questions which keep the classroom operation moving, that is, to move students toward the desired goal for the lesson. Are you all here with your mathematical set and 4-figure table? Will you turn to page number 102 of your textbook, or who needs any assistance on how to draw the graph, etc.? Rhetorical questions. They are questions used to emphasize a point or to reinforce an idea or statement. Rhetorical questions do not really require students' answer. However, students sometimes respond to them. Common examples of words are "who knows," "are you stupid," "did you hear me," "okay," "why not." The green color matter in plant is called chlorophyll, right? Last week we noted that there are 3 arms of government: executive, legislature, and judiciary. Okay? Closed questions. Closed questions have defined correct answers which can be recalled from memory and require little originality. Closed questions are common in conventional tests and are considered beneficial in encouraging all students to respond. Closed-ended questions have a fixed limit and can be answered with either a single word or a short phrase. They are often answered with yes or no, or with a simple statement of fact. They usually get specific information or confirm facts, like what is the chemical formula for water? If you add 5 to 15, what is the total number? Common words include in this are do, did, can, is, are, have, will, would, or how. Open questions. Open-ended questions are ideal for developing skills such as inferring, predicting, verifying, and summarizing, as well as eliciting more language. They are used to promote students' interaction and anticipate a wide range of acceptable responses rather than 1 or 2 right answers. They are questioned without a fixed limit and is likely to receive a long answer. Open-ended question is used to promote discussion and critical thinking. They often provide opportunities to gain insight into the other person's feeling. Open-ended questions draw out more information. Words used are how, who, what, when, where, describe, explain, in what way, could you tell us about, how did you apply your training to your work, etc. Classification of questions according to complexity. There are 3 types of sub-skills involved in questioning. The sub-skills used in framing each type of questions can be categorized as lower order questions, middle order questions, and the higher order questions. Lower order questions. Lower order questions test the lowest level of thinking, that is, recall or memorized fact or information. In these questions, the student recalls facts, makes observation, or gives definitions. These questions imply that student answers are from existing knowledge and are not expected to modify, develop, or use their ideas. Questions of this level stimulate lower level of thinking, which forms the basis for higher level of learning. The questions of this level do not ensure understanding of the current content but help the students to come in contact with the previous content, which forms the basis for new learning. The lower order ones are used at the beginning of a class to elicit previous knowledge. Questions of similar nature can be asked during the commencement of the lesson as developmental questions. The lower order questions include memory level of thinking. Lower level questions are also more effective when the goal is to impart factual knowledge and commit it to memory. This does not mean that primary teachers should avoid all higher cognitive questions. Certainly, primary students need to have chance to speculate, imagine, and manipulate the information being presented. Such questions start with what, when, where, and how many. These questions can be subdivided into recall and recognition categories. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to the video to motivate me, share it with others, and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Middle order questions. Middle order questions test more than recall and require the respondent to apply what has been known to new situation. The middle order question include transition, interpretation, and application level of thinking and stimulate comprehension of the students. These questions ask students to apply known techniques or rules to solve problems. The middle order questions are still higher type of questions which enable a teacher to ascertain students' performance and students themselves to assess their own understanding of a particular topic. The process covered include comparison, translation, interpretation. Example, what will happen if population explosion in India continues unchecked? Why is a spider not called an insect? Why must we protect our pituitary gland? Can you express this equation in words? The higher order questions. Higher order questions make more demands on the thinking faculty of the students. They are thought-provoking and require students to infer, compare, contrast, discuss, argue, evaluate, and solve questions. Teachers must endeavor to ask higher order questions in order to enable students think and solve questions. These questions ask students to go beyond what they know. Students are expected to answer by analyzing a problematic situation in terms of its constituent elements by solving problems, making predictions, producing original communication, ascertaining validity of ideas, or judging or justifying artistic or other products. This level of questions stimulates highest level of thinking among the students and help in developing creative and reasoning abilities among the students. This skill may be subdivided in 3 levels, namely analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. The higher order questions include the analysis and evaluation level of thinking and other higher abilities of the students like reasoning, judgment, and creativity can be stimulated. The questions in this category generally demand answer for why and how of an aspect. Higher order questions cannot be answered merely from memory or experience. They ask the students to generalize, to relate facts, to compare and contrast concepts or principles, to make inferences, or to perceive causes and effects. They ask the students to discover principles, not just define them, to use ideas rather than just remember them. They are particularly appropriate when the objectives involve concepts, principles, and problem solving. A combination of lower and higher questions is more effective than the exclusive use of one or the other. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video and don't forget to subscribe.